All right, today we are going way, way back in time. I'm talking 66 million years. We're going to witness the final, dramatic 24 hours of a lost world, the very last day of the dinosaurs. We're going to piece together the incredible story of a cataclysm that, honestly, changed the course of life on this planet forever. So let's get into it.
For a stretch of time that's just almost impossible for us to wrap our heads around, dinosaurs were the undisputed masters of this planet. 160 million years. Their reign felt like it would last forever. But then, it all came crashing down in a single terrible day. A day that, for every creature on Earth, started out completely normal.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture this, Earth, 66 million years ago. Now, you might be imagining some totally alien landscape, right? But what's wild is that it's a world that's actually starting to look pretty familiar. It was a thriving planet, right at the peak of what we call the late Cretaceous period.
And what's so fascinating is just how modern this ancient world was becoming. You had the continents kind of drifting into the shapes we know today. The climate? Yeah, it was warmer for sure, but there were still seasons, still polar ice. The forests were full of trees you'd recognize, things like walnuts and beech. And with this explosion of flowering plants came butterflies and bees. And get this, hiding out in the undergrowth were small mammals. Yep, our own distant ancestors, already carving out a life for themselves.
But let's be absolutely clear about one thing. This was their world. The dinosaurs were the pinnacle of 160 million years of evolution. From creatures smaller than a hummingbird to absolute giants that literally made the ground shake, they dominated every single continent, every ecosystem. They were the undisputed rulers, no question.
And this is where our story really begins. We're starting a countdown. For all these creatures on the ground, it's just another Tuesday, you know? A day of hunting, foraging, just surviving. They have absolutely no idea what's silently hurling towards them from the depths of space.
So what we're going to do is follow a few of these incredible animals through their final hours. We've got a gentle giant down south, a fierce predator up north. And as that clock ticks down, their totally ordinary lives are about to collide with something truly extraordinary.
Okay, 5 hours before impact, we're near what will soon become ground zero. A herd of Alamosaurus, maybe 50 of them, is just munching its way through a forest. I want you to picture this. These are some of the biggest animals to ever walk the earth. Each one weighs 38 tons. To keep that massive body going, they need to eat about a ton of plants every single day. So for them, this is just another day at the office, a slow, constant search for food, completely unaware of what's coming.
Meanwhile, halfway across the world, a totally different kind of drama is playing out. This right here is a Tarbosaurus. Think of it as a cousin to the T-Rex. It's the apex predator in this part of the world. With that huge skull and a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth, it's a terrifyingly efficient killer. The absolute king of its domain, a domain that has only a few hours left to exist.
Now, over in North America, we get a glimpse of something a bit more peaceful in these final hours. A mother ankylosaurus, she's basically a living tank, just covered in bone armor, is carefully guiding her 4 little cubs through the forest. And despite how tough she looks, she's a gentle plant eater. That massive club on her tail, that's purely for defense, for protecting her family.
But, peace is a fragile thing in a world like this. Not too far away, a territorial dispute is about to turn deadly. A Carnotaurus has just made a fatal mistake. It's wandered right into the hunting grounds of a Tyrannosaurus rex. And with its superior senses, the T-Rex is already setting up an ambush.
And this fight, it just shows the T-Rex's complete dominance. It had binocular vision sharper than a hawk's, a sense of smell that was just off the charts. The Carnotaurus really never stood a chance. So, as the winner settles down to its meal, its focus is entirely on the ground. It completely misses that new bright star in the sky, a star that's getting bigger and bigger with every single second.
And that brings us to the moment of oblivion. Because that bright light in the sky, it's not a star, not even close. It's a rock the size of a mountain, and it's on a direct collision course with Earth.
The sheer scale of this thing is just hard to wrap your head around. It's 10 kilometers wide. Think about that. An object so huge, it would literally dwarf Mount Everest. And it's aimed like a bullet, directly at what is now the Gulf of Mexico.
And its speed, that's even more mind-boggling. It's screaming into our atmosphere at 20 kilometers a second. The friction, the compressed air, it heats this thing up to tens of thousands of degrees. It starts to shine brighter than the sun. So for a few absolutely terrifying seconds, any creature looking up would see two suns in the sky.
So, to try and understand the sheer power we're talking about, just look at the energy it released. This chart here compares it to the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The Chicxulub impact, well, it was like 10 times billion of those bombs all going off in the exact same spot at the exact same instant. Unimaginable.
And we know exactly where it hit. Buried deep under the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico is the scar it left behind. It's called the Chicxulub crater, and it's 180 kilometers wide. It is quite literally the tombstone of an entire geological era.
So how can we be so sure? Well, the evidence is pretty undeniable. Scientists found this thin layer of a metal called iridium. It's super rare on Earth, but really common in asteroids, in rock layers all over the globe, and it dates to exactly 66 million years ago. The age of the crater? A perfect match. We've even found fossil graveyards, entire ecosystems that were basically flash fossilized on that exact same day.
But here's the thing, the impact itself? That was just the beginning. In the seconds, minutes, and hours that followed, a whole series of global catastrophes was unleashed. It was a chain reaction that would swallow the entire planet.
So first, the impact blasted this enormous hole in the ocean. This triggered a mega tsunami on a scale that is just unbelievable. For comparison, think about the awful 2011 tsunami in Japan. Those waves were about 10 meters high. The Chicxulub tsunami? The waves were over 100 meters high. A wall of water that raced thousands of kilometers inland, sweeping away that foraging Pachycephalosaurus we saw earlier and everything else in its path.
At the same time, the impact struck with the force of a magnitude 11 earthquake. That's about 50 times stronger than the most powerful quake we've ever recorded. The entire planet literally shuddered, it rang like a bell. This shockwave woke up volcanoes all across the globe, and they just started erupting, pumping even more ash and gas into the air.
But honestly, the worst was probably yet to come. A superheated cloud of pulverized rock and ash just blasted outwards from the impact site. This thing was traveling at hypersonic speeds, a literal wall of heat racing across the globe. Hours later, it finally reached our Tarbosaurus in Mongolia. The air temperature instantly spiked to 150 degrees Celsius, incinerating anything that couldn't find shelter underground.
So, in just a single day, the world of the dinosaurs was burned, battered, and drowned. It was over. But from the ashes of their world, a new one was about to be born. The age of mammals was just beginning.
See, the impact set off one final, deadly chain reaction. All that soot and ash in the atmosphere, it blocked out the sun, plunging the Earth into a freezing impact winter. Then came the acid rain. For weeks, sulfuric acid rained from the sky, poisoning the soil and water. With no sunlight, the plants died. Then the herbivores who ate the plants died. And finally, the last of the great carnivores, like that Tarbosaurus, they starved in the darkness. But deep underground, small, burrowing mammals survived it all. And when the skies finally cleared, they emerged into an empty world, totally ready to inherit it.
And the incredible success of those little mammals, well, that eventually led to us. We dominate the planet now, right? Just like the dinosaurs once did. But their story is a pretty sobering reminder. They ruled for 160 million years, a stretch of time it's just hard to even think about. Which leaves us with one final, kind of provocative question to chew on. Will humanity last anywhere near that long?